Hello and welcome to the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Today's episode is going to be awesome. I have a success advisor with the Proctor Institute, and he helps people reach their dreams. Super excited to be talking to Kevin Koch today. Hey, Kevin, are you ready to rock?
Oh man, I can't even tell you. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on, Tim.
Awesome. So we always start off at a good note. So tell me a story of success in your business or your life that we can be inspired by.
A story of success. Well, my success comes from the success of my clients. Truly, I don't. I do what I do, and I like to watch the enlightenment of others. That's really what my passion is. And so, I had a client that in 3 months lost 30 pounds, and she had some underlying health conditions. Went to her doctor, and her doctor literally couldn't explain how she did what she did due to her situation. And she said, "I hired a mindset coach." And so it was kind of it was an interesting experience for me to see how much really mindset controls all assets of your life, all aspects of your life. And that was really cool for me to see.
That's
Live
awesome.
by kind of vicariously through her.
That's awesome. And we're seeing so much more of that. Like this whole thing of mind over matter is starting to get real crazy because I mean, especially with this divide of people thinking that science is everything and mindset is just woo woo. And we are definitely seeing that is not, there's a component of both in there, right?
Oh, there's definitely a merging of both worlds. I mean, in the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, those guys have just, really shown how powerful mindset is. I mean, even coaches like Tony Robbins have tapped into it and realized the power of understanding your thoughts create things, and it's not just a fancy thing to say anymore. They've proven it through science.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just I'm excited because now if we could take this scientific approach to trying to figure out how the mind works, instead of just trying to figure out the body, I can just imagine what's going to be in store for us in the next decades or so, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people think of the mind as the brain, but the mind is not in the brain. The brain is just the electronic switching station of the mind. The mind is in every molecule of your body, as my mentors taught me, and your mind controls your body.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind, so, we hear that psychology affects physiology and physiology affects psychology. And it's absolutely true. If you're having a bad day, you jump around and you smile and laugh, you're going to feel better. And if you're having a physical ailment and your mindset is tweaked, your physical body will respond. So it goes both ways. It's pretty exciting.
Yep, totally. So now, on our, journey towards success, every once in a while we hit a bad note and there's something that just doesn't go, quite as planned. And I'm wondering, can you share a story that we can, learn to avoid, or, if something happens to us, if we can recover from that?
Yeah, I mean, going towards your goal does not mean that your goal arrives tomorrow. Most people underestimate the power of the journey that you're on as you go towards your goal, and it's the becoming the new person that it takes to reach that goal that most people don't understand. I was in Brazil for a couple of years, and I thought that when I got down there, I was just going to magically speak Portuguese, and I'd hear people speaking, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so easy that he's speaking it. Well, I was confused a little bit because it took me about 6 months to really start getting a grasp, and it was kind of an awakening for me. But I learned that hard work, it's not really hard. It's just, you might call it a challenge, but it's joyful in my opinion. It's going towards something that you really want, and if you're not, you should get out of it right away. But if you're going towards something you really want, and you have a passion for it, then it's actually enjoyable.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I think it was actually Tony Robbins that had said one time that it's progress that makes you happy, not actually achieving what it is that you're going for. And
Absolutely.
I think that that's really important to think of it, because I mean, I'm sure we can all think of something that we really wanted, and then as soon as we got it, we were like, okay, next. But
Absolutely.
but that journey of getting there was what was actually really fun, right? That was
Yeah,
what kind of brought life to you, right?
absolutely. I mean, most people move sideways in life. They don't actually set goals to move forward. And so they don't really experience any kind of change, because my mentor, Bob Proctor, taught me that goals are not to get, they are to grow.
Mm.
And so when you remember that, you're becoming a new person in order to obtain that goal that you're going after. And if it's not forcing you to become a new person, it's not a worthy ideal. or a worthy goal, as Earl Nightingale would have put it. A worthy ideal, something is a progressive realization of a worthy goal.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, so now speaking of which, I mean, the topic that I want to talk about is just is practice makes perfect, is getting good at what you do. And so, how would you speak towards that? Like how do you practice what it is that you do, I guess?
Well, in the courses that I take my clients through, is space repetition is one of the only ways to change your paradigm. And a paradigm is a fancy word of saying it's just the way you've been programmed, and you can tell what your program is by what your results are. So if you want new results, you've got to change your paradigm. And the mother of all learning is repetition. So the other way to get change is to have a paradigm shift, is to have an emotional impact. Like 9/11, a lot of times I'll say it was an emotional impact on the whole world, and they had a paradigm shift. We think of buildings differently, we think of airplanes differently, we think of Middle Eastern people differently. It's just built in now because we had a paradigm shift, and that became so because of that emotional impact. So the other way to do it is through space repetition. And so I have a course that's 12 lessons, but we go through it for 2 weeks each lesson, the same lesson. And many would say, well, that's kind of annoying. You just watch the same lesson. Yes, but your subconscious starts remembering it after you've done it over and over and over. And that's really the only other way to get the results that you want.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's another coach that I listen to lots of coaches, obviously, and
that's good. Eh?
Someone had said that I know are some of the worst words in the English language, and they totally hold
I
you
love
back.
that.
And
it's so good.
It's totally true. I mean, so many times, you're like, oh, no, I know that. And I mean, it's just, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, if you've got everything that you want, then sure, you probably do know. But if you don't, maybe there's something you don't know, right?
Yeah, I've often said that I'm the smartest man in the room because I'm always the one that's asking questions. The dumbest man in the room is the one that already knows it all.
Yep.
I've always said that as well. So try along with what you're saying. You can't learn what you already know it.
Yeah, exactly. You block yourself out from any new learning because you just basically told the universe that you already know this, right?
And most of learning is not learning. It's perception shifting, because you just see it from a different vantage point. You see it from a different perception or perspective. But if you already know it, you're not interested in changing your perspective. You already know it. So there's no reason to grow. And growth is what makes life fun, I think. Being able to see something differently than you saw. I think a lot of people take that as a slight to their own ego, where, well, if I don't know it, that means in some way I'm stupid or I'm less than. But, that's a problem with ego, and that's a self-image issue. It's one of the things I help people with too.
Well,
Keeps you from learning.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. So, I mean, I think that a lot of people who are, let's face it. I mean, if someone's looking to start a business, they probably have a pretty decent mindset. They want to grow, they want to work for themselves and all that stuff. However, there are times when there are certain blocks, and I think one of the things is that they want to be an expert in their area, because if they're not an expert in their area, then why are they even going into business? So how do you sort of like balance that whole, you can be good at what you do, but also have room to grow?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way that you earn an income is becoming very good at what you do and serving a lot of people. And you have to become good at what you do, but you can't become better at what you do if you already know it all. I mean, any industry, doctors, lawyers, whatever, there's always updates coming out, and they always have to do continuing education. I mean, even me, I study all day long because I love to study. And if I don't study, then I'm never going to grow, and I can't, downstream help my clients to grow. So, I mean, it's silly to believe that, and it's just a dying belief system, I think, that you know it all. I mean, eventually I think people are going to be so open to the fact that I don't know anything, because there's YouTube, and YouTube has so much knowledge. I mean, the world we live in, there's so much knowledge. We have to kind of decipher what it is that we even want to try to put into our psyche, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We're being overflown with it. And, you don't even have to remember anything anymore because you've got a device in your pocket that will pull anything up you want, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that now is a great, time in history to be able to focus on what you really want, because you don't have to worry about all these, basics, survival things that we used to have to worry about. Now we have to worry about, where are we going? What kind of results are we having in our lives, right? And then that's the type of practice that you're talking about. You mentioned your client earlier that was, looking to lose weight, and they went to see a mindset coach. It's amazing that now we can sort of really focus on where our brain is taking us rather than where our body is, right?
No, absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you. Mindset is so important. If you know it all, you just can't learn anything else. And if you're wanting to be an expert in your industry, you've got to continually grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think maybe that's kind of the key there, is that, your clients, the people that are looking up to you, they're going to want to know that you are growing. They're going to want to know that you are keeping up on, the new information that's coming out there. So maybe that's where you can get your mindset to flip around a little bit and say, well, I don't need to know everything. I just need to be in a place where I know more than my client does, first of all, and I know how to get them where they want to go. And I also have to be constantly growing myself in order to be able to keep up the pace with my client who's also growing at the same time.
Exactly. I went to a dentist one time and they wouldn't take my insurance. And I said, well, why don't you take insurance? He said, because then I'd have to take what the insurance pays me. And if I did that, I wouldn't be able to afford these really cool technologically advanced devices and that help you ultimately. And I said, touche, I like that. And it was really interesting because one dentist wanted to do a root canal. And then he said, no, you just got a bite issue. You just got to shave a little bit down here so you don't bite on that one tooth all the time and your root's fine. I'm like, damn, how'd you know that? He's like, I got this really sophisticated device.
Wow, well, so take my money.
Exactly. It was well worth the money I paid for it.
Well, and so that leads into the next topic, which is talking about tools for success and, things that help you to succeed in your business and in your life. So tell us some tools that you use.
So the cool thing about what I do is it's all basically online, right? I've got courses designed by my mentor, Bob Proctor. I have videos online that I produce content where I can, help people just through video. So, I mean, just using the tool of Zoom or my telephone, tapping into these inventions that great people like Steve Jobs have created is just, incredible. But using your calendar, that's something very simple that people have at their disposal, but they don't actually use. It helps reduce thought fatigue when you're not thinking every day, what am I going to do for my business? It's already delegated to yourself the night before, the week before, the month before. You've got meetings set up, like, our meeting today was not just a fly-by-night thing. It was set up previously. Mm-hmm. So you can have your day focused on what it is you're doing and be organized in that way. So something as simple as a calendar can help a small business owner really stay focused on what it is they're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I've used that, especially when I started my business. My calendar was my boss, because I think that there's a big step between going from being an employee to being self-employed. And mm-hmm. the major step I found was just in time management, in not getting sucked into helping someone move because you don't work during the day, right? Like, and I use the calendar as my boss. No, my boss says, in my mind, my boss says I have to work right now.
Man. Yeah, that's really smart, actually. has an alibi, at least, or an excuse.
An excuse. You need an excuse sometimes. And I find that, I think a lot of us, we have to trick ourselves into being successful almost, right?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot about, dopamine kind of deprivation. Mm-hmm. And turning your phone off for an hour, doing a task that your boss tells you to do, your calendar. And then the reward is to go back and get your dopamine hit by opening your phone and going through your messages and getting excited or whatever. But a lot of people are constantly on their phones. They're not productive. They're very distracted. Yep. They are purposely distracted because they're not living on purpose. There's a great book called The Man's Search for Meaning. And it says when man can't find a deep sense of purpose, they distract themselves with pleasure. And written by a Viennese psychologist in the German concentration camps, that he deduced some really important principles for us to live by. And that was one of them. Like, you don't have anything really to go after. You just distract yourself with your phone. So talking about tools, it's a great tool if used appropriately. And if you are in control of it and it's not in control of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we've been talking a lot about, learning from others, and, I'm wondering, like, how important is that in your business? Like, do you, have, mentors or masterminds that you participate in? Like, how do you continue to up your game?
Look, the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because I hired a coach, and that coach helped me see in myself something I had never even thought was possible within myself, right? And coaching helps you see your blind spots. I like to say, like, you can't see the things that are holding you back because you're you. Now, someone walks into your life. Remember the show Take Home Nanny, where she'd come home and she'd watch them for a day, and she'd be like, "Okay, I can see what's happening."
Yep.
And the moms would be like, "Oh my God, how'd you do it?" And it was very simple for her to see because she's an outsider, right? So, a coach, especially trained in mindset, for example, could see what you're doing. I could come into your business without being a mindset coach and say, "Well, you're not actually effective because you're not following a calendar." Okay, that's an easy way. But to really understand subconsciously why you're not using a calendar, why you are doing what you're doing, it's a different level, but it's that outsider's perspective with a focus on the mind and how it works and how it controls 98% of everything we do, the subconscious mind does, and how to help you get real, true results once you identify those blocks.
Mhm. So how do you find somebody then?
So coaches are all around there. Coach is kind of like a loose term nowadays. But when I went to search for someone, I had been searching for someone that I just resonated with. And I think that's really important. That word resonate means it's intuitive, like, before you think and you analyze and how much does it cost and all that bullshit. You just have to know, you just allow yourself to know. And when I watch Bob Proctor videos, that is new. I'm like, this is the guy I got to meet. So much so that I was naive enough to pick up the phone and call and ask to speak with Bob. And they're like, well, he's a little busy, but we'll put you on the phone with one of his coaches. And I was like, all right. So a success advisor, as I now refer to him, called me and asked me just some questions about what I wanted. And I'm like, this is what I want. I want to do what you're doing. I want to watch people have epiphanies like you're helping me do right now. Because I was probably like crying and stuff. It's like,
Uh-huh.
these are questions that I usually ask people, but I wasn't getting paid for it because I didn't really have a foundation to go off of. Like, I knew I could help people and I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't really have like a platform to help them get real results,
Mhm.
which is what I got access to after joining Bob's team.
Wow, very cool. So you said that you had already been helping people before that, but you just didn't have the credentials, I guess, for it.
Well, it was in my mind. I didn't have order. So, I didn't have, like, you can know how to put a nut in a bolt on a bolt or a bolt in a hole. But if you don't have the like the breakdown of how an engine goes together, you're not going to know how to put that bolt and where it goes and what's the purpose of that bolt and that type of thing. So understanding the mind helped put order into all of the things I'd notice and say, well, that's wrong. I don't know why it's wrong, but I know that that's why he's not getting the result he wants. It could be my friend at the gym talking about his teenage son and how he's fathering him or parenting him and how he's getting this bad result. And I'm like, well, it's easy. You're just doing this. Don't do that. Do this. And he'd say, okay. And then suddenly things would start changing around for him. But I couldn't say, well, yeah, join my course so I can actually help you on a consistent basis. Now I can say that.
Yeah, it was just like one-off type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean too, because I've often been like a confidant for people and helping them try to get through things. But you're right. If you don't have the whole works of it all, then you're just giving them one-offs here and there, and it may or may not even be right. I mean, you know, a lot of it is probably what you talked about earlier about just seeing a blind spot, just being another person. I know even when I was doing tech work, sometimes I would call my girlfriend in at the time to help me just describe this problem to her. She has no idea what I'm doing, but all of a sudden I'd figured out the answer.
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
so I
That's a
think,
great point you bring up, actually. Yeah, because half of what I do is just sit and listen, and they'll figure it out eventually. I mean, I'll ask questions back to them to make them see what they're saying, and then they'll figure it out. My job is not to tell you, not to give you a fish, it's to help you learn how to fish. And eventually they start fixing their own issues by just becoming aware of it. See, the key is awareness. There's a great book called The Power of Awareness, and it's a grossly misunderstood word, awareness. It's being aware of who you are. You're conscious. You are consciousness. You're conscious awareness, and that is what you are. You're not a body. You're not a name. You're not a job title. You are. I am. And that's the basis of everybody has to understand that before they can do anything. You got to be before you can do.
right. So then I'm wondering, because I recently took a Tony Robbins course, and I take personal growth courses all the time. And I happened to
Oh, cool.
mention it to a few friends, and like you get this sort of frosty response from a lot of people. And I'm wondering, like, what do you think that is? Why do you think so many people are not open to learning from somebody else about this stuff?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I think one of them is that it makes them feel inadequate or insecure, or because they have no idea what you're talking about, it just makes them feel like, oh, well, let's switch to a subject that I know more about because I feel insecure in my ego, right? It's about ego. Most people identify as an ego, as this sense of self, these titles they've accumulated, this, you're a good boy, you're a bad boy, you're smart, you're hot, you're whatever. These are terms that you take upon yourself, and you believe that you are those things. But Bob always says, he's like, I have a hand, I'm not a hand. I have a body, I'm not a body. I have a name, it's Bob. I'll probably referred to this all my life, but I'm not a name. I am myself. And most people don't understand that. They identify with an ego, and that ego can get kind of in the way. It gets you all tripped up. And that's what my lesson on self-image is all about. It's about, who are you really? No. Who are you really? And when you identify as that, 5-year-old being inside of you before you got these titles, that's where all your power is. That's where your imagination lies. You see little kids that are imagining all day long, and adults struggle because they've been trained to go to job, do what they're told, come home, then do it again the next day.
Yeah.
So those people might not be entrepreneur-minded people for that reason as well.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned something a lot in the very beginning about some sort of emotional event that, it tends to be that's when people want to change it, when they're open, is when something really, really bad happens. They
Right.
hit some sort of rock bottom, and then all of a sudden now they're interested in, looking within and trying to figure out what's going on. And it's just a shame that, people have to go through that much hurt in order to get to a point where they want to look for some help, where they could just do that right now, right?
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. I mean, I'll see people that are poised to do great things. They tell me they want to change the world and stuff, and they'll still have a paradigm regarding money. They won't want to pay my fee, let's say. And to get across to them that this is not about money. This is about your self-image in that case specifically, where they just don't believe in themselves. And that's really why they won't invest in themselves, because they'd invest more in their kids and their family or their car, or their house, than themselves, because they don't know who their selves are. So the person that will do great things, the person that knows who they are, and they're ready, they're out of their own way. And now they just look at every obstacle as a challenge, and that they will overcome. They have persistence and all of those mindset principles that are taught in, this book, Think and Grow Rich, which, is a classic, of course. But there's principles to govern success, and there's laws of the universe. So back when you were asking about, like, how do you even know that what you're saying is right, good advice? Well, there's laws of the universe. When you understand the laws, you understand that when people do things, whether it's in accordance with or out of accordance with laws. Very simple, actually. Yeah, paperback.
You got one too.
At your disposal. Nice. Smart man.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's do your guest solo then. So tell me what's going on in your business. What are you excited about?
So right now I'm excited to announce my presidency, POTUS Koch 2024. I'm going to go make some real change.
Right on.
It's not as difficult as most people think. It's just, like I said, there's laws of the universe. It governs everything from the way we talk to people and the success we get as a country or as people. And I think the coolest thing in the world would be to have all the countries going towards one main goal.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. I mean, the course that I put my clients through was designed actually to help with big bank mergers. I mean, we're talking, Sandra Gallagher was in charge of some billion-dollar merger deals. And she had to get these people on the same page, which means she had to get them thinking the right way or thinking the same way. So, I mean, I'm talking to Kim Jong-il and I'm like, dude, you really want to treat people like that? Is that really helping you out here? It's just these conversations like this that I think will be transformational. And I just think people are not doing it. And I feel like I can do it easily.
Yeah.
And I believe that common sense approach is the only thing that people are going to be looking for when I'm there. And I'm going to give them exactly what they want. It's like, this is so simple, guys. And they're going to say, oh my God, how come no one's come before saying these things?
No idea.
Look, man, Golden Ticket is founded on the principle that anyone can have anything they truly want, but they must want it. It is quite literally the admittance to the life of your dreams. And that's my dream. I'm going after it. And I'm looking for people that want to go after their dreams, want to change the world, so I can mastermind with them, because I can't do it alone. I understand that. I've got to have great people on my side that are going towards the same goals and dreams, and we'll go together.
Right on. So how do we learn more?
So goldenticketcoaching.com is my website. You can find me on Facebook at Golden Ticket Coaching or Instagram at Golden Ticket Coaching. It's not hard to remember that name. If you want to go dream in your life, you got a golden ticket, and I can offer that. I can offer that to you. You're ready to make the decision.
No, that's a great name. I'm amazed that you got the domain. That's awesome.
I know. I was surprised too.
Right
awesome.
on. Well, it's been so much fun rocking out with you today, Kevin. This has been a good
Yeah,
time.
likewise, man. It's been great. I appreciate you, man.
Right on. Well, thanks for coming on the show. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. And we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.
See y'all.